Hello, it's Nikki and welcome to a brand new episode. Firstly, can I just say thank you so much for all your lovely feedback and shares and chats about these longer form episodes. I'll come into it in a little bit because I have been changing things up and I have been, this episode that I'm about to share with you is really relevant in terms of my content. But today I'm going to be talking about how you can become and feel more like you on the internet. And if you require some more resources, some more help, the best place to go here is to stage 3 on my website. So if you go to nikkiraby.com, you'll find build and monetize your personal brand. You'll find that section. And underneath there, you'll, sorry, it sounds like a weird murder mystery. Go here, turn left, bark, knock 3 times. I promise, once you see my website, you'll see that it's very straightforward. But on my website, I've got my 4-step framework, which is really about helping you build this personal brand that feels like you and really connects with your goals and your circumstances and what you want to do in this world. I mean, you know, some big promises right there, but I can deliver, I promise. But this is going to be all around stage 3. So my 4-step framework is all about stage 1, plan, stage 2, package, stage 3, present, and stage 4, propel. And today we're going to be talking very much in the present area because I know that putting yourself on the internet and saying who you are and what you do and how brilliant you are and how much you pay, it feels sometimes like you're on a hamster wheel, that you've always got to be delivering the goods and giving the people what they want, even though sometimes you put content out there and nobody likes it. And you're just like, I mean, I've done it so often. I spend hours or, you know, so much thought and I've got a Asana board and I'll put something live and I'm like, nope, no, nothing. Right, okay, great. We've all been there basically. And over the years, I've really found this sense of being myself on the internet quite the merry dance to work with. To give some context, I grew up feeling like it wasn't okay to be me. Yeah. Not necessarily in my family, not necessarily in my close group of friends, but generally, I felt like I was too much for people. I was too ambitious. I was too keen. I had too many dreams. I wanted to do the right thing. And those values, those morals, weren't necessarily championed. Actually, it was about staying small. It was about the tall poppy syndrome, like don't get too big for your boots, don't show off, keep quiet, stay small, just, you know, don't take up space, basically. And so when I had that moment of moving to London 20 years ago, sorry if you can hear Luna snoozing in the background, working life, you know, we're doing it. When I moved to London 20 years ago, I suddenly felt that I could slightly be a bit more anonymous and I could find my people. But also then I realized there were so many other people like me. And then it became this sort of race of like, right, now we've all got to show off and we've all got to be bigger and better and do more than the next person. And that felt like a really weird energy as well. And certainly as a female, it wasn't about women supporting women. Nobody was talking about that. Like some of the women that I knew, they were like, oh, just to let you know, I don't support you and like I am the best. And you know, people would feedback. I remember getting this song at drama school and a couple of girls were like, we actually don't think that you've been cast in the right part because we don't think your voice is good enough for that. Oh my God. So it was all very harsh. And then kind of going through my career, I've really had to be thick-skinned at times because going into rooms full of people when they do that, okay, darling, can you just come in? Can you just stand on the X? Can you just do a dance? Can you just be a bit funnier? Or like, are you able to lose weight, darling? Like all of these things, my goodness. I should have given up many years ago, but there is, as always, something that's in me. And then training to be a coach. That was an interesting beast to work with, because in 2012 nobody was talking about life coaching. They weren't talking about meditation. They were talking about yoga a bit, but it was still very underground. It was still in a church hall rather than a £150 a month membership. We weren't talking about fancy 90 quid leggings. We were still doing it in a sort of, I love New York t-shirt. It didn't have that kind of polish. So to suddenly go from somebody who in 2012 was putting all their photos on Facebook of a night out or wherever I'd been on holiday, to going, hi guys, I can help you change your life. It took a minute. It took more than a minute. It took some time to really figure out what my place was, what I wanted to say. And what I didn't want to do was to do what everybody else had done. So the fact that I was a coach, I didn't want to do that. Do you want to find your inner purpose on the internet? Because that didn't feel right. And equally, I didn't want to go into that masculine energy of like, come on, babe, just hustle harder, go for it, smash it. Like, no. So I'm going to take you through a process today about how you can be yourself more on the internet. And these are questions that you can work through in your own time and sit with. Now, the temptation will be, perhaps, I'm not going to definitely predict it because we're all individuals, but this may happen. Just warning you so you can look out for it. You might listen to this and go, yeah, I'm going to have to give this some more thought. Yes, right. Okay, yeah, I'm going to think about that one day, maybe. I want you to roll with it now, because the longer it takes you not to become visible, the longer it takes you to build a relationship with your potential customers, clients, audience, opportunities, the longer it's going to take for you to get where you want to. So I encourage you to do this imperfectly. And I know, again, that's a trigger. It's like, what? Do this imperfectly? It just feels like, I've got the wrong bra on, or I haven't quite done my hair, or all this sort of stuff. Start where you are right now, because that's what's going to help build the situation. And that human connection is actually going to be really invaluable. And if somebody is perfect the whole time, sometimes we'll see it, don't we? Like I see mums presenting this thing. One of the things that's come up on Instagram a lot is people decorating their front doors in Halloween themes. And suddenly I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't done that for my children. Maybe how I'm failing. Why I'm not on it. I'm behind. I'm this. And I was like, no, Nikki, like I need to just chill my boots a minute. We don't have to decorate Halloween doors. I don't have to buy 50 pumpkins. We don't have to face paint. It's all right. We can just, we can make some wings out of a coat hanger and just do that. You don't have to do that. So this is very much about taking tiny steps and starting to become part of the party. So for a long time, people will want to, and I use this analogy a lot. If you've listened to the podcast, you'd be like, all right, Nikki, we've heard this one before. But I have to say it again because it resonates every single time. It's like that moment where you see people thinking about how cold some water is. So they'll walk around a swimming pool or they'll walk around a lake and they're like, oh, I wonder how hot it is. Do you think it's cold? Is it deep? Will there be stuff in it? Oh, how will I feel? Oh, I'm not sure. And they go through all this process. And sometimes what you've got to do is you've got to go, right, I'm going to dip my toe in. I'm going to make a decision, I'm going to dip my toe in, or I'm going to go straight in, get my head under and really suss it. So that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is to move towards the lake rather than just wandering around it going, oh, I'm not sure, Barbara, what do you think? Right, let's get into this 5-step framework. So the title of this, if you want to work it through with me, which you can, is how you can become more like you on the internet. The first one I encourage you to do with care. And I say that from a point of, yes, I'm there as your coach helping you, but also knowing that I'm not right there in the room with you, and I don't know when you're listening to this. So I want you to do this with care, with kindness, and give yourself what you need. And you'll see why I'm saying this. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to write down your worst fears. And go easy, be gentle with yourself, and make sure that you've got the self-care or you've got the people that you need, because, I don't want to interfere with your mental health or anything like that. But I know that you are big enough and old enough to know how to do this. But this was a really powerful one for me, because I think sometimes when we think about judgment, or we think about imposter syndrome, getting found out, what people will say, I think sometimes we have to really unpick that and go, who are these people? What are they going to say? Or what could be the worst thing that they do? And what would that look and feel like? Because once you start to do that, or when I started to do that, I was like, why am I bothered about that one person that I went to school with? Why am I bothered about that phrase that somebody who I didn't even respect or like said to me when I was 11 years old? And by bringing all these things to the surface, hopefully you'll get to a point of going, actually, it's all right. And I'm all right. And I could do this. And I could do this in a really gentle way that wouldn't hurt anyone, that would feel like me, in a really ethical way, in a way that feels good and that supports your family. So I want you to write those things down, and write down what's on your mind. What is the stuff that you're really terrified about? And again, go easy with yourself. Go gently. Give yourself, if you're going to do this, give yourself some time to do it. And really notice what you notice. Secondly, I want you to ignore the rules. Yep, my inner sassy 17-year-old comes out to play again and again. And here's why. The rules are constantly changing. Somebody or someone is going to say, you need to do this latest thing. This thing, quick, get on the TikTok wagon. Do this. You've got to be posting 5 times a day. You've got to do this, this, and this. Oh my goodness, you're so behind. Or there's this new program. Or quick, jump on the bus. The pressure to keep up and to do all of the things can be overwhelming. So I want to give you full permission in this to actually ignore the rules. And that's not to say, oh, people have said social media is good for growing your business. I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to question that. There are some fundamental things. Yes, of course, if you use social media properly, if you use it in a way that feels really good, you're going to get more results, of course. But what I'm saying is, quieten down the voices of those around you, and sometimes that means turning off notifications, again giving you full permission. Sometimes that means pressing the mute so you don't see those people's content again and again. I want you to ignore the rules, and I want you to go back to what your own rules are. What would be your own rules? How would you do this? If you could create your own digital game of you showing up online, what would those rules look like? What would be your non-negotiables? What would be in your contract, I guess? I want you to really pay attention to those, because if you can do that, if you can really pay attention to it, then you're going to get results, and you're going to work from that place of feeling, there's the word, authentic. Number 3, it's about really listening to yourself. How can you do this in a way that feels good? What feels like the next right step? Now, that's not to say we'll get other voices in there. Sometimes I know exactly what the next right step is, but there's something in me that is choosing not to take it because I'm actually scared of doing the thing, because it feels too much or too scary or too big or a beast that I'm just not willing to unleash just yet. But I want you to listen, and I want you to keep checking in. How does this feel? What is responding? What are people listening to? And really being aware. One of the things that my coach says, and that I'm really doing with my clients as well, is really paying attention to the data. Because for a long time, my business felt really random. And now, over the last few years, I would say, it's starting to feel a bit more predictable. I can gauge what my audience is going to like. I can gauge what's going to be responsive. So going back to a listening place of what feels good and what I need to do will give me an indication. And sometimes the voice or the message that comes through is to shake it up a little bit, is to be a bit radical, is to do something that is completely the opposite to what I thought I would do. And I want you to allow yourself to play in those moments. Enjoy the process. Because you know what? Social media, promoting, marketing, it can start to feel something else that you've got to do. So how can you make this more fun? Number 4, pay attention to how you are offline and see if you can bring it into your online. So who are you in your family? Who are you at the school gates? Who are you if I met you in person? So sometimes I've had that moment where I've been emailing a contact and we've been going back and forth, and then suddenly I meet them in person, and it's worked both ways actually. Sometimes on email they're really formal and really cold, probably a bit borderline rude, and then you meet them in person and I have to hold it back sometimes not to say, "Oh, you're so not like you are on email. You're so lovely. Oh, how nice." Or sometimes it works the opposite. So I had this a little while ago where I had the most glorious, affectionate, really lovely, juicy emails with somebody. And then I had a meeting with her on the phone, and she was awful. She was a really awful person. And I don't say that lightly, but the way that she spoke about other people, I was like, oh no, this is not going to work for me in my life. Run, Nikki, get out of there. So I think the tempting thing is to sometimes, it's like putting the work hat on, where you suddenly go, right, hello, I'm going to show up and I'm going to talk about my business. How can you bring a bit more of you in there? Now, again, this is about paying attention. It's about tuning in and going, which bits of myself do I want to put online? So even though in person, I would talk about my family a lot, or I would talk about my relationship, probably not in detail, but you know, my partner would be in the room with me sometimes. So if we were hanging out at a thing, or if it was a family thing, or we're meeting friends or whatever, he would be there. And he's not necessarily there online with me, not because there's anything sinister going on, but because, you know, we met both being actors, we made a decision that it was like, you know, it's precious. It's important to have those boundaries. So I want you to think about this, and maybe if you're feeling brave, go with it. Write down some ways that you could be a bit more of you. Maybe make it a bit more fun, a bit more playful. Tell me more about your life. Let me get to know you. Number 5, I want you to really pay attention. And if you haven't listened to the previous episode about what do you need, I urge you to go and listen to it, because it will really help you get clear on what you need in order to do what you do. I want you to think about how you can support yourself. How can you champion yourself to feel and look more like you online? And sometimes the kindest things for myself are deleting people, yes, or not doing stuff at certain times. Or there might be some days where I'm like, do you know what? I'm a bit bored of self-development or podcasts. I'm going to close that down. Or sometimes it could be those days where I'm sitting at my laptop and I'm desperately trying to come up with inspiration. I will give myself full permission to walk away from my desk and go, this is not in support of me. Me sitting at my desk trying to carve out these ideas when they're really not happening is not making me show up as my best self. So what can I do? Where can I go and walk? How can I mix this up? Can I go and work in a cafe? What do I need in order to get inspired again? So I want you to take care of you within this. So I'll run through them once again. And number one, remember, be really cautious with this first step. Really take care of yourself and look after yourself. As I say, I'm not there right with you in a room, and if I was doing this exercise, I would be able to hold a bit more space for you. So that's why I'm really banging on about this point. So number one, really check in about your worst fears. What's on your mind? What's holding you back? Run the whole tape through, as a coach, Emily Williams says. Run it through. See what happens. Would anybody actually phone you up and go, "Hi, Nikki, I just wanted to let you know, I thought you were a bit up yourself on that Instagram thing." Like, would people actually say that? Would that meanie girl who wouldn't let you sit at the back of the bus, would they actually say something to you? Probably not. Number two, ignore the rules. Really tune in to what you want, how you want to use things, and pay attention to that. Write your own rules, in fact. Number three, listen. Really listen to what your next right step is. What's going to help you and support you to move forward. Number four, how can you bring more of your offline to your online? So how can you bring more of yourself? So if I met you in person and I enjoyed chatting and getting to know you in person, how could you bring more of that energy, that warmth, that care, that personality into your online presence? And number five, how can you support yourself to become more like you on the internet? How can you take care of yourself? How can you make yourself a priority? Again, I hear this from entrepreneurs all the time. When they're going to the next level, they go, yeah, well, I'm just going to squeeze myself small and focus on my work. I'm not going to go to the gym, or I'm not going to go and see friends, or I'm not going to eat well, or I'm going to stop watching TV. Do you know what one of my goals was at the beginning of the year? Was to watch more TV, because I was working too much. I was doing stuff in the evening, and actually I love watching telly, like the good stuff, the dramas, and, I'm not going to pretend I'm a culture snob by any means. I do like a bit of the trash telly as well, but I know what I need in order to show up as me. So if any of that has pricked your ears and you're like, okay, Nikki, there's more. I need to look at this. I'm hiding, I'm playing small. I'm not doing what I need to do in order to grow my business or my personal brand. Or, okay, this might be a thing that you've had where you go, I find myself getting really annoyed that people less talented or less experienced or less nice are getting opportunities or clients or bank balances that I'm not. If that is the case for you, pay attention to it. Also, book a free 15-minute session with me. I'm taking calls for November now. Please don't just go, I'll do it next year when things have evened out a little bit. They're not evening out for a while. And frankly, you've got stuff to do. I'm going to say it. You've got stuff to do. You've got stuff to build. Otherwise, you wouldn't have got into, how many minutes I've been talking? 23 minutes. Okay? I know there's stuff that you need support with. And I know there are big dreams that you want to put out into the world. So if I can help, if I can support you with that, I'm here. Book a free 15-minute chat. Let's have a conversation and let me know what you need. Or you can just go straight to present the stage 3, as I mentioned earlier. Thank you. Thank you, as always, for listening, for sharing, for leaving reviews and all that good stuff. I really, really appreciate it. I'm sending lots of love. Be gentle with yourself, as I mentioned, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye. Lots of love.